Hello everyone and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, where I'm having a real hard time with these audio levels, so I'm doing my best, but I listened back to this with the crowd in the background, and I just don't know what to do. So, anyway, we'll try to get them to shut up. Yep, that should bring down the prosecution's claim like a house of cards. Oh, thank God. Order in the court, Mr. Wright. That was a very clever deduction. No, it was nothing, Your Honor. Nothing but pure genius. Take that. Boss, I'm sensing a definite smug and braggy vibe coming off you. I have just one question, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. If Mr. Justice didn't leave that message in blood, then who did? Huh? What? He senses his moment. Ow. Well... looks like I should have taken that train of thought through to the last station. Well, I've heard a lot about this. So this is Mr. Wright's famous bluffing technique, is it? Ah, this feeling, it brings back memories of the old days. Back when you carved out a name for yourself by bluffing your way through thick and thin. Gee, Mr. Wright, the judge kind of makes you sound no better than a two-bit con man. You made your argument with such confidence, Mr. Wright. Now I'd like to hear your answer with just as much confidence. Sorry, garage door opening. Hey, until the judge asked the question, you didn't catch on either, Buster. What now, boss? I hope you didn't bluff your way into a corner. Think, Phoenix, think. There must be a way through this. I have to dig my way to the truth somehow. Who could have written that message in blood? The culprit, Apollo, or someone else? Oh, I don't think it's the culprit, actually. No, it was definitely wasn't Apollo. That's easy. Did someone come after the fact? No, that would have been there before. It wasn't Apollo. Who could have left the bloody message? I want it to be him. I don't think it is, though. So, I guess I have to kind of walk through my current theory. I think Ted and Candace were working together. To some degree. That's my current working theory. I don't think she's innocent in this. A detective who's heading up the incident into a bombing... investigation to a bombing incident. So that's where my train of thought goes, is that I don't think she's innocent in this. That feels too obvious. Alright, if I'm going to go with it was... because he's the culprit, for sure. There's no... I mean, they showed us at the very beginning, right? So if it was someone... if it truly was someone else... unless I screwed up. I did. To be honest, I don't actually have any real proof of this, but I've come this far, there's no turning back now. Besides Apollo, there's one more person who shed blood at this crime scene. A person who shed blood? You don't mean... know, but I do. I believe it was Candace Arm who left behind this message in blood. What? That sinks us, though. Unless she was trying to get a message out. What? Detective Arm? Are you sure you know what you're doing here? Not really? What kind of ridiculous assertion is that? If you had said the attacker left the message to throw people off, it might have made sense. No, that wasn't. It's a message. At first glance, that would seem to be the most reasonable explanation. However, Apollo didn't shed enough blood to write such an extensive message. Uh-oh. I see. Even the photo makes it clear there wasn't enough blood to write all those letters. If Mr. Justice did survive, I suppose he didn't bleed very extensively in that case. But why would Detective Arm write the defendant's name? And there's no connection between the two whatsoever. I didn't even know the lady who was killed. Why? Didn't turn up any connection between... Yeah. We never even met each other. That's very true. Well then, let's see. Then maybe the intended meaning of the message is not what it appears to be. The intended meaning? Not what it appears to be. It's not a name. Maybe the message was not intended to be Woods. I wondered that. I'm like, what would it look like upside down? And I'm like, that doesn't immediately spell anything. Coming from you, that's quite the bold statement, Mr. Wright. You wish to assert that the bloody writing could have some other meaning? Yes, Your Honor. For something I pulled out of a wormhole, it could turn out to be true, right? It clearly says Woods, as anyone can plainly see. What other meaning can it possibly have? Candace Arm was a detective. Maybe Woods only means something to the police, like a police scanner code, for example. I didn't think of that. You may have tricked His Honor, but you'll never get the best of me. I have a thing for studying on the weekends, as you may have already guessed. Well, it's not like you have anything else to do. And there's no such radio code as Woods in this state, dear Mr. Wright. Is that a fact? Don't look at me. I know as much as you do about police codes. Didn't know this. I was quite taken with the defense's new theory. But if they can't substantiate it with anything, then I must end things here. Wait, no, please wait, Your Honor. Very well, but before we discuss this theory any further, I demand a plausible explanation. So, Mr. Wright, what is the true meaning of the bloody writing? Well, I believe it's... No stalling! Oh, crap. If you can't come up with an answer quickly, I will declare this discussion officially over. I'm in trouble now. What other meaning could it have besides the obvious one? Maybe it means something in another language? No. Or maybe it's a code. No. Think, Phoenix. You can do this. Which piece of evidence will tell us what the word Woods actually means? Hold on. Can I look at this again? Can I look at the other? Yeah. Wait. Okay. So I see a 5 on that. Ah, yes. Wait. There it is. The only thing I don't see... So did someone change it after the fact?
Take that!
The bomb transport case. I've had it up to here with your shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Take a look at the numbers on this case, Your Honor. Yeah. L10015R. Doesn't the string look vaguely familiar? What does that have to do with anything? What could those numbers possibly have to do with the case at hand? Now please take a look at the bloody writing shown on the crime photo. Oh, I think I see it. Atta girl. That's one on my side. It says Woods. Or you could say it's a horse of a different color, Your Honor. The first character isn't a W, it's actually an L and a 1. The next two are zeros. Oh my goodness! The true meaning behind the bloody writing isn't Miss Wood's name. It's the number engraved on this bomb transport case. What are you talking about? The next part doesn't make any sense. Next number is a 1, but the bloody writing says D.
Objection!
But the number on the case and the bloody writing can be made to match up quite easily. This is how the number on the transport case can be made to match the bloody writing. Erase 2 lines, right? Please erase the third downward stroke of the W and the curved part of the D. Right, because you're like bleeding out. Oh, would you look at that? Lewis. No, Your Honor, it isn't meant to be read as a word. It's the number L10015, which, if you take away the final R, is the exact same number that's on the bomb transport case. Erase 2 lines and they match up, you say. Well, I can change anything into anything else simply by erasing 2 lines. What if we erase 2 lines from your name? Would you be happy as Mr. Wright? Would you, Mr. Wright? Only right spelling is right. Okay, I'm doing pretty well here, and I think I've drawn the right conclusion. Detective Arm's real message to us is the bomb transport case number. Your Honor, the 2 lines were added by the real culprit to intentionally mislead people. What? The original message of Detective Arm left behind was the transport case number, but whoever assaulted Apollo changed the message. If you're right, boss, then what do you suppose Detective Arm was trying to tell us? Good question. What does this number represent? The culprit. You see this number here? That's my identification number. Yep. Candace Arm lost her life in the courtroom bombing. Her dying message could only have had one purpose. No. To tell us the name of the one responsible for the bombing. Well, don't keep us in suspense, Mr. Wright. Tell us who she was trying to name. Alright. The culprit that the victim was trying to identify is none other than... So they weren't working together. Well, there goes my theory. The defense wishes to indict Mr. Ted Tonate on the charge of the courtroom bombing. Ted Tonate? We have to figure out a motive, though. Apparently disabling bombs isn't Mr. Tonate's only specialty. Somehow the victim must have realized that he was the bomber. So when she was caught in the blast, she left his bomb transport case number as her dying message. She used Mr. Tonate's own ID number to finger him for the crime. Why would anyone go out of their way to write an ID number? Wouldn't they simply write the person's name? He's got a good point there. What do you have to say to that, Mr. Wright? That only Detective Arm would know the answer to that, but allow me to offer a theory. Perhaps Detective Arm couldn't recall Mr. Tonate's name in the heat of the moment. As I recall, this was the first meeting between the two. It's entirely possible they wouldn't have been familiar with each other. Or maybe using the ID number was a way to hide its true meaning from the real culprit, thus lowering the odds that they would erase the bloody writing. But no matter what the reason, the important thing is the meaning behind her message. The fact remains she wrote Mr. Tonate's ID number. Now, just one moment here. There hasn't been any proof yet that it was indeed Detective Arm who wrote it. The bloody writing wasn't found during the investigation after the blast. If Detective Arm had left the message, it would have been found at that time. No, because they put the thing over it. Naturally, Mr. Tonate hid it before anyone could discover it, and there's a simple explanation for how he was able to do so. What? Mr. Tonate was able to cover the message up because he's a stickler for that's true. The first to find the body. The first person to discover the bloody writing was Mr. Tonate himself. As the first one at the scene after the explosion, I went there to ensure safety, but I ended up discovering a dead body. When Mr. Tonate saw that the victim had written his ID number, he used the bomb transport case to cover up the bloody writing as a stopgap measure. Oh, so that's why the message in blood was under the transport case. He didn't have enough time to try to scrub away the writing. If he didn't report the body right away, he would look suspicious. So those letters lived on to serve another function. Mr. Tonate used them in another incident. No, the insult on Mr. Justice. Exactly. Mr. Tonate hit upon a plan to use the bloody writing for his own purposes. So he didn't clean it away. Instead, he made it look like Mr. Justice wrote it. By adding 2 lines to the writing that Detective Arm left behind, he changed the meaning of the message. He made it look like Mr. Justice was accusing Miss Woods of the attack. So that means the only person who could have altered the bloody writing was the courtroom bomber, who was the same person that assaulted Mr. Justice. And that person is Ted Tonate. Order in the court, order, I say. Looks like we'll have to hear from the bomb specialist himself. Mr. Plain, please have Mr. Tonate take the witness stand. Yes, Your Honor. That was great, Mr. Wright. Just doing what I do best, which is flying by the seat of my pants. Especially this case is yours. Do you think you can handle it? I look forward to seeing you try. Man, what's the motive? I'm missing the motive. I thought they were working together to cover something up. Clearly that wasn't the case. And I guess I'd missed that they hadn't really worked together before. I've finally drawn Mr. Tonate back onto the witness stand. Looks like you'll get your wish, Goggle Man. Now watch me take your lies apart. Let's do it. Mr. Tonate, I'm afraid we have a few more questions for you. I understand the situation, Your Honor. I was keeping a close eye on the proceedings from the gallery. The allegations are all laughable.
Objection!
I wouldn't be laughing if I were you, Mr. Tonate. The message in blood matches your ID number. The same ID number that is there on that bomb transport case. Also, I think we'd be able to see the R if we move just like a little bit of rubble. That'd probably save us some time. Such a far-fetched theory. No better than a tangled ball of wires. I saw far-fetched, I got Pokemon on the mind, and then I'm like, Tangela! I have them untangled for you in no time at all. You were the first... I'm back on Pokemon. You were the first person on the scene after Detective Arm left her message in blood. You were the only one who could have hidden the writing and then used it again later. I see ×2, but then let me ask you, do you have any proof that Detective Arm wrote that message? That's a very good question. Well, do you, Mr. Wright? The best way to prove that Detective Arm wrote that message is to analyze the DNA. Because messing with the writing's already been messed with. Your Honor, I request that a DNA test be performed on the blood itself. Once we know whose it is, it will be obvious as to who wrote the message. So you didn't like that. Very well, bailiff, please put in a request for a DNA test with the forensic team. Yes, Your Honor. It'll be some time before we have the results of the analysis. Until then, let's hear more from the witness. I would like nothing more, Your Honor. I want the court to hear how ridiculous the defense's theory is. Okay. After the explosion, okay. I admit I was the first one on the scene after the explosion. But there was no bloody writing there at the time. Anyway, there is no way Detective Arm could have written it. She struck her head on rubble and died near the courtroom entrance. She was too far away from where the bloody message was found. Nope. So you're saying that the victim's body was nowhere near where the writing was? Precisely. It is as plain as day that she could not have written it. It's true that the body was discovered near the entrance of the courtroom. Please have a look at this crime scene photo. As you can see, there's blood on the rubble near the victim's body. He put it there. She must have died after hitting her head there. Nope. Don't buy it. I see. Alright then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Do you have what it takes to take my infallible testimony apart? Oh, I got this. I got this. After the explosion.
Hold it!
Why were you the first person on the scene? To secure the area, it is regulation for a bomb disposal specialist to enter first. In other words, you had the opportunity to alter the bloody writing then, didn't you? Well... Mr. Wright, please don't interrupt. Mr. Tornado is about to give testimony that will show just how wrong your reasoning is. Darn, I think he was just about to say something interesting too. When I went in and saw the aftermath, well, it was quite the disaster.
Hold it!
Can't really disprove that. You were able to tell this even with those goggles on. With these goggles, there is no way I could have missed something like that. I can see quite well with them. In fact, I can see every hair on your spiky head. Oh, you have a few grays, Mr. Wright. Hey! What? Poor Mr. Wright. You're always working so hard keeping our office together. Wait a minute. I don't have any gray hairs. Just kidding.
Objection!
I object to the witness's attempt to prematurely give me gray hair. Mr. Tony, this court frowns upon untoward comments on a person's hair or lack thereof. I'm sensing a great sorrow coming from the judge. My apologies, Your Honor. May I please continue my testimony? No detective arm could have written it.
Hold it!
If she didn't write it, then who do you propose did? Mr. Justice, of course. Just before dying, he wrote the name of his attacker, Juniper Woods. And a final message from your poor subordinate. Yeah, poor Mr. Justice, I'm starting to get all misty-eyed. Apollo's not dead, folks. So how can you be sure it wasn't Detective Arm who wrote that message? It is very simple. She had struck her head on rubble and died near the courtroom entrance. Wait.
Hold it!
That sounds like a lie. Do you imagine she was thrown back by the force of the blast? A bomb can inflict damage not only from the explosion itself, but also substantial secondary damage from the blast wind. Detective Arm unfortunately hit her head on some rubble. It's stated in the autopsy report as well. Cause of death, trauma to back of head. Oh, the autopsy report. I'd better take another look at that. Now do you see, Detective Arm could not have written that message. The reason for that being... she was too far away from where the bloody message was found. Isn't it possible she could have crawled to the area of the bloody message? If that were true, then how did she return to the spot near the entrance? Maybe she crawled back after writing it? I am not going to dignify that with a response. Hey, did that guy just smoof me? Would you like to get down on the floor and give us a demonstration of your theory? Huh? No thank you. The victim's body and the writing are several yards away from each other. There's no way she could reach. Quite the conundrum. So that means something is off somewhere. There must be a contradiction. Maybe the body was moved, but that doesn't explain how blood got onto the rubble. What if that was done by the real culprit after the fact? Exactly. If that's the case, then something about that might contradict the evidence we have. Yeah, the autopsy. I meant I was the first one there. There's no way Detective Arm could have written it. She had struck her head on the rubble and died near the courtroom entrance. I think this is... a flat object! Flat object!
Objection!
Got it! You are a terrible liar, Mr. Tenate. Take a look at this autopsy, specifically the part about Detective Arm's head injury. Cause of death, trauma to back of head caused by impact with a flat object. Yes, what about it? Now take a good look at the bloody piece of rubble. It's sharp and pointed. Hey, you're right, boss. It is pointy. Just like your hair. I was waiting for that. I was going to make the joke, and I'm like, nope, she's going to say it. That is odd, isn't it? What would be the meaning of this contradiction? I believe it means the victim's not hit her head on this piece of rubble. The bloodstain you see is just another fabrication. Its purpose is to mislead us into thinking the victim died near the courtroom entrance. Are you claiming the culprit moved the victim's body? That's exactly what I'm claiming. The victim hit her head at some other location, most likely on the floor or some other flat surface, and this location was somewhere near where the bloody writing was found. In that case, she definitely could have written the message. Your Honor, I have the results of the blood stain analysis. Ah, very good timing. Let's take a look. According to this report, the message was written in Detective Arm's blood. And as the defense claims, only the parts of the message that were added afterwards were written in Mr. Justice's blood. It would appear that the defense assertion is correct after all. Got him. Alright, how's he going to drag this out? Because he's going to drag this out. A report that proves that the writing was done in Detective Arm's blood. Yes, you did it. You were right, boss. Now I have to drive it home. I'll have to take a good look at the bloody writing analysis later. Mr. Tonay, it is now apparent that you have told several lies to this court. I hope you have some sort of explanation for yourself. Fine, I will confess. You will? But then why are you so calm? Because he's not going to confess to the bomb, he's going to confess to attacking Apollo. This time, I will tell the truth. The truth. It is true that Detective Arm wrote my ID number. She very plainly wrote L10015R. I was shocked, but I did not detonate the bomb. Detective Arm must have mistaken me for the real bomber. Not wanting to be accused, I moved the body and covered the writing. My bad. What? I see. So it is your assertion that you merely moved the body. Is that it? That is correct. I did not kill Detective Arm. So, well, if that's all you did, then, wait a minute. That in and of itself is a criminal act. Why does he finally cross that finish line, Your Honor? Very well, then, your cross-examination, please, Mr. Wright. The truth.
Hold it!
So you admit that you actually did see the bloody writing that Detective Arm left. My bad, I should have said so from the outset. And you are sure it was your ID number? I am sure it was definitely my ID number, so then you messed it up later. That number was assigned exclusively to me by the police department. The number is assigned to my goggles as well. Those funky things were provided by the police department. Although these are special goggles customized by me personally. Speaking of personalized, these sunglasses of mine were custom made as well. They were specially created to be particularly dark and shiny. Speaking of special, my gavel is made of mahogany and was custom made as well. It was specially created to make a particularly loud and resounding sound. Like they're all flexing the gavel. Wish I had something to brag about. His tie. But be all that as it may, I just want to reconfirm you saw the bloody writing clearly, and that it was your ID number. That is correct. My ID number was written in blood on the floor. Got him.
Hold it!
L10015R, and it was written after the bomb went off in the courtroom? Correct. I didn't know why she would write it, so that sent me into a panic. Sounds like you were in quite a tizzy. If I were in his shoes, I guess it would have psyched me out too. I can't imagine coming across the message "Psychs" written in blood. And if I saw gasp in pain written in blood, it'd certainly make me gasp. Rest assured, Mr. Tonay, I understand how you must have felt. And so you discovered your ID number written in blood at the scene, and... That is right. I saw it with my own eyes. It very clearly said L10015R. But I did not detonate the bomb. Didn't you? The victim may have had special knowledge of who the bomber was. I have no idea what thoughts Detective R may have had inside her head. It is not like I ever dismantled her mind to check. Mr. Wright, if you have suspicions about the witness, let's see your proof. Evidence is everything in a court of law. Even school children know that. How many years have you been a defense attorney now? Cut me some slack, will you? Don't feel bad, boss. You just got your attorney's badge back after all. In that sense, you're still more of a beginner than I am. I suppose I should be thankful you're not a licensed psychologist. Mr. Tonate, please continue with your testimony. With pleasure, my ID number was left at the scene, but...
Hold it!
I don't buy that. By mistaken, you mean you had nothing to do with the explosion? That is correct. That is why I was so shocked when I saw my ID number. The victim may have suspected Mr. Tonate for no reason other than the fact that, as the bomb specialist, he was in charge of the bomb. In other words, a false accusation. It's vocational discrimination, I say. I do not support discrimination of any kind. Well spoken, Your Honor. If the victim had been found to be killed with a gavel, Mr. Bluesuit over there probably would have pinned the crime on you. Wait, what? He would. Well, that just wouldn't do. Mr. Wright, if you dare try to pin anything on me, I will find you in contempt of court. I've never even tried to harm a hair on a strand of your beard, Your Honor. Well said, Mr. Payne. Because I am so closely associated with bombs, I was afraid I would be prosecuted if anyone saw the bloody writing. Alright, not to be wanting to be accused, I moved body and covered my writing. Okay, what do we got? You didn't think to clean away the bloody writing? I didn't have time. By the time I found the message, the blood was already dry. The police were waiting just outside for me to secure the room, and I still had to move the body. I was in a... Wait, you had to move the body. With no time to spare, I temporarily covered the writing with my case. Didn't you think the police would find it during their investigation? Regulation stipulates only specialists may touch transport cases because of the danger, you see. I thought I would clean up the writing once they were finished. My bad. My bad? Does he really think that will just magically smooth everything over? This guy has something else. And I don't believe Detective Arm's dying message was just some mistake. He won't wriggle out of this that easily. What did Mr. Tonate see when he first discovered the bloody writing? There has to be a contradiction hidden in his testimony somewhere. He didn't see... No. I think here it's that you couldn't necessarily see all of it, right?
Objection!
Also, why does it say Woods? I just want to make doubly sure that L10015R is what you really saw, what you saw written in blood. Yes, it very clearly said L10015R. But that's odd, because that's not what I see.
Objection!
What on earth are you babbling about now? Wasn't it you claimed that the bloody writing was his ID number in the first place? Take a good look at the photo and the bloody writing analysis. Now tell me, does it really say L10015R? No. Neep. Something's missing, isn't it? And that something is the final R. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Tonate? Alright, I was really hoping to get through this trial, but I am unfortunately completely out of time to record for the day, so we will have to end it here. Yeah, I was kind of hoping first week to get through the tutorial, but didn't happen. Hopefully, as I'll be looking forward to when we wrap this up. So, I didn't talk about this before, but new episodes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is a flex day, so usually for a new series, I'll do a Thursday, like in this case. But that may change, so it may not always be Ace Attorney on Thursdays, but it will at least be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. With Professor Layton, it ended up being every Thursday. I don't know if that'll be the case for this one, but it could be. We'll see. I'm really enjoying this so far. I like the new mechanic that they've added. I like the updated presentation, and the humor is just always on point. So I'm having a good time with this. I hope you are as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.